the first one I want to talk about, man, because like I said, it's a couple of them. First one was they were talking about the cut block rule. Now, it's two ways that NFL rule proposals get brought up. You either have the competition committee, which is obviously the group of coaches and managers and owners that all work together to continue to make the game safer or progressive or just better for the viewers and things like that. So this first rule change or this first proposed rule change is from the competition committee, and they want to talk about they want to essentially prohibit or outlaw the cut block permanently, right? So we know what the cut block is. That's when you'll see an offense player typically dive at the legs of a person, anywhere waist down, they'll dive at them and things like that. And it is a very effective block, but at the same time, it can be dangerous. Now, in years past, it's already been outlawed on special teams, right? So you can't run down on a kick and dive at a person's leg unless you're going to tackle them. But you can't go into a blocker like that and vice versa. The blocker can't dive at your legs either. But it was never like that in terms of downs 1 through 3 when you're actually running plays, right? We've seen how many times on screen plays, guys run out there, cut block. We've seen plenty of times, like it just happens, right? So what the NFL, what the competition committee is trying to do right here is basically outlaw it completely. Now, to me, I'm not a fan of that. As even though this benefits the offensive players, we know you love your offensive guys. We know this. We know this. I've never been a fan of a rule like that because I understand the safety element of it, but if you're technical and you're fundamentally sound, you can defeat that block. And sometimes we prefer you attack us that way because it's less of a physical blow on us versus when you stay up and you're running. And we've seen the video. I think it was Trent Williams who crushed the linebacker from AZ, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that. I would much rather you shoot at my legs. I can defend that versus you running full speed at me. But I wanted to hear what you think on that, man.
Wow.
How you feeling on these cut blocks, bro?
Not gonna lie, you want to talk about the rules that we didn't pay attention to? I saw it, I'm like, I'm not worrying about this. This was one of them.
Yeah.
It's not bad from the standpoint that offense has been taking over recently and adding a little element to the defense because you would think, just right off the bat, this would benefit defense a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not opposed to that. I don't know. I guess from your standpoint, though, if you're just saying it's easy to defend if you're technically sound.
It should be, at least. It should be. We've seen some guys get killed by it when they don't pay attention.
I'm just trying to think. Will I really notice if it's gone?
I think the only time you would notice, especially this first year, is if it was being called. Now, it could happen a lot in terms of it being called with this rule change now, because what they're saying now is typically you can cut on screenplays. That's a great thing because with these bigger old linemen, they're not as athletic as the defender, right? So you think about Al, you think about Chooks, you think about Banner. When they get going in one direction, they're going full speed, and it's a lot easier for them to run full speed and just dive at your lower body than it is for them to go full speed and potentially have to break down and go right or left with the smaller defender, right? Because you think on the perimeter, who you're blocking? Corners, linebackers, things like that. So that part of it you will see because number one, these guys are going to probably miss a lot more. But number two, if they do go ahead and take a guy's legs out, now that nice screenplay that's going to be a nice game, it's going to get called back. So that is the part where I think we will be able to see that a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, just based off the calls. Would we just notice the defense playing better, you think? Like, how much do you think these cut blocks are opening things up for the offense where we could maybe see a little bit more of a defensive game?
No, without a doubt, man. I'm glad you said this. This is why you my main man, Deke. Because people don't be asking those. They don't care about us defenders. They don't. We have feelings. I see everybody in the comment, and I love y'all. We will get to y'all. Trust me. And shout out, Steven. I'm glad the audio sounds good this time. Shout out. We definitely needed that. But I appreciate you, Deke, because people forget that us defenders, we have feelings. I get sad when all these rules are slighted towards the offense and we don't take into account us.
Well, here's what you got to consider. I grew up watching football, being a big fan of football in those 2000s. A lot of low-scoring games. The Steelers defense, like that Super Bowl that the Patriots and Rams played a couple years back, what was it? The final score, 13-3, 16-3, something like that. I liked that game because it reminded me of that brand of football. So I'm for the offense, just getting ramped up a little bit, the high scores. It's fun. Yeah. But there's a part of me, heart and soul. That Steelers football in the 2000s, bro. Like Big Ben, the way he played, our defense, Hines Ward. We were winning games. We were winning games in the teens, but they felt like dominant wins too.
Absolutely.
So I missed that a little bit.
Well, and the thing that I liked also back then was you could win a game, like you said, dominantly, being a convincing win, but at the same time, you had balance. At the same time, it was still high-level play from Ben. Let's not act like Ben wasn't playing at a high level back then, but it was just a different style. So yes, I love those type of low scoring games. We just don't get a lot of them often now because of the way the rules are. But this right here, this is huge, man. If they effectively eliminate the cut, like you think about on another play, right? The toss, the toss run where you see the quarterback reverse out toss, we trying to run to the perimeter. A lot of times cut blocks happen on that as well. Whether it's to the front side where you're getting some of these little receivers trying to cut block on some of these bigger, D linemen and D linemen and linebackers, but also on the back end of that where it's a cutoff block. A lot of times that backside guard, right? It's a D lineman right in the gap, right? You think about what Tyson is. Tyson plays right there, right over the center or in the shade, right in that little gap area. If the play is away from him, that guard has to get his head across from him. Most of the time, they struggle to do that. So the easy thing to do is just to dive at their legs. That's another situation where you can see that in terms of the no cut block rule coming into effect and really costing us, because those are just your regular play in and play out runs. Nothing egregious, nothing crazy, but you can just see how that becomes a competitive advantage for that D lineman. Imagine if that's Cam now or Tua, who are way faster than Tyson, and they get that free run like that, they're gonna kill somebody in the backfield. So I like I said, I like it. I like it for that element of it, but at the same time, I'm just like, you're taking away a fundamental element of defense. Like as a defender, we're taught early on how to stop a cut block. You have to see the body first, see the head. Because we know, just like with anything, wherever the head goes, that's where the body's gonna go. You have to, we say, kill the head. So your eyes on the head. Then after that, you want to kill the head. 2 hands, push the head down. Then after that, you clear your feet. You're good. Problem is, a lot of people, they'll see that and be like, oh, I'm gonna just run around it, or they'll be overlooking it, and then before you know it, you cut. As long as you do it fundamentally, you're fine though, baby. So I don't think they need to do this because I think it's gonna hurt us more than we would like from an offensive standpoint, if that makes sense.
We'll be a little pissed off this year, potentially.
We definitely would. And especially since we know we want to run the ball this year, too. You think about whether it's Travis Etienne, whether it's Najee Harris, whether it's Javonte Williams, whether it's any back that we have, right? Even Kalen, right? Any of these guys, we're going to want to see them be able to run that ball successfully inside and outside. And if good runs are getting called back because of this right here, we're going to be pretty upset.
What's funny is you complain about the defense getting screwed over these past 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Now you got a roll going in the favor. I think you want it hard a little bit. You want a little chip on your shoulder.
I do, because I like.
There's always the built-in excuse.
Yeah. First off, it's like, well, y'all supposed to win. I mean, it's slated for y'all to do everything perfect. But I love just to be able to say, well, hey, look, man, we're kicking your butt, and these rules are in place for you guys. You think about you think about how good it felt for us when we watched the Steelers defense these past 2 years, and they're coming up with timely turnovers and stops. You think about that Rams game 2 years ago, right? When we went in on defense, and it's like, dude, you know how great that feels when every rule is in your favor, but we're able to still overcome that? That's the part of me that I love. I don't want us to lose that, but I can totally understand why this would be up there for the proposal.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too opposed to it.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not opposed either, but
it's not passed yet. None of these are passed.
None of these. So the official vote will be later this month. They haven't given a specific date yet, but it'll be later this month.